Hello, and welcome to 10-7 Off-Duty Podcast. My name is Andrew Straley, ENTP, and with me today is John
Williamson, actually.
And a new guy, actually, Clyde.
Well, he's not new. He's been around.
Well, he's been around, just not on here, I suppose.
How old are you?
I'm 25.
So tell us something about yourself there, Clyde.
He's into long walks on the beach, sodomy.
I have been to Bible camp, so yeah, that is a thing. Yeah.
Sodomy. I did want to turn that into an Ebony and Ivory, but I didn't know where else to go.
Sodomy. Angrily.
Yes.
Angry sodomy.
Oh, God.
That's called prison sex.
I feel like, well, I guess not all sodomy would be angry. I think if
No,
you call
some
it,
people are into
if
it.
you call it sodomy, though, that is
Yeah.
angry.
Yeah,
If not,
it
it's
has
just
a
butt sex.
connotation for any, for sure.
Yeah. Well, Clyde is he works in this area, and prior to that was actually a corrections officer. So I think it'd be pretty cool to if he can come in and.
Correct some officers.
Well, I mean, some do need some. Actually, I actually read this article. The UC.
L.A.
One of the colleges in California was having a
Probably is UCLA.
peaceful protest or something like that or whatever, but they brought in police officers in riot gear just because they didn't know if it was going to go out of control or whatever.
Right.
Well, the school banned the police from using any bathrooms on the campus because it would offend and hurt the feelings of the students.
That seems misguided.
Yeah, what is going on in this country where hurt feelings are a big thing these days?
We're professionally angry at things. We are all like, well, no, not even professionally. Like, it's our hobby now to be angry about shit. It seems like.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
that's what we do for entertainment. Like,
eat
nothing
Tide
isn't fun
Pods,
to us anymore.
snort condoms, and
Yeah.
get upset with words.
Yeah.
Words
Well,
are just
and
words.
Actions and phrases and anything.
Yeah.
Even like things we love.
Yeah.
Did you hear how many people were angry as hell at Star Wars? Especially when that Han Solo one came out. I haven't even seen it yet. But like, we love Star Wars, but we're like, I found something to be mad about. Like,
Well, this is my thing. Is it seems like it's almost getting to the point where you could fart walking past somebody and they'd fall down crying at this point. You know
like,
what I mean?
So it's like soccer
Yeah.
or football. Sorry, Europeans.
Apparently
We do have a couple of Brazilians watching,
we do.
listening.
Yeah.
So yeah,
If
that
you
is
wax,
for you.
Let us know. Let's be honest. Why do they call it the Brazil wax? Does everybody do that in Brazil, or is it just
Right?
Did somebody from Brazil make that up?
I bet it's that.
Yeah. Okay. All right then.
Or maybe it's because you start screaming in Brazilian on an accident whenever they're ripping it off of you.
Probably. It is a passionate language.
Right? Well, it is. Certainly.
This is. Do you know why they call soccer the world's football?
I didn't know they called it that. So
Well, because the reason why they call it football everywhere else is because
you play it with your damn feet.
No, it's actually because you can make a soccer ball out of anything.
Oh, yeah. That's the beauty of soccer.
Yeah.
And you can play it with 2 people. You can play it with 4 people. You can play it on anywhere you got a stretch of grass. It doesn't even really have to be grass.
Yeah, you
Like,
could have dirt.
If
it's
you have
fine.
open space and 2 things to serve as goals, you can essentially play soccer. Like,
Yep.
any country in the world, you'll find kids playing soccer.
Yeah, exactly. That's why it's the global.
Which is it's kind of like the beauty of
the
that
world's
sport.
game,
It's kind
yeah.
of sick. It's like you can't even play basketball any old place. They have to have a net.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't work without a net. Like, you ever tried to play basketball without a net? It sucks. You can play
Dude, I'm
baseball
white.
sort
I
of
always
anywhere.
play basketball without a net, or at least nowhere near the net. Okay?
Right. This is fair. We don't get close to it.
No. Watch me sink this 3. Don't. Well, all right.
They called me the bricklayer. I took it as a compliment, although it wasn't.
Yes, exactly. Hey, you go play defense. Just go play defense. That's basically the only thing you were good at, or at least I was good at.
I was all right at defense.
If you guys hear loud noises outside, they're using heavy equipment across the street. So
And they're tearing down some tennis courts.
Something.
Another sport that you literally can't play anywhere,
Yeah.
like, except for where it's made to be
You
played.
can play golf anywhere, but you're going to make people angry.
yeah.
And
Same
you're
with
gonna break some
baseball.
things.
Same goes for baseball.
Yeah, that's
Technically, you can play catch anywhere, but that's not the same as playing baseball.
Right.
Because
yeah.
you could also kick a ball anywhere, but it's not the same as playing soccer.
Right. And at least if it's an air-filled satchel of some sort, it's not going to damage anything
Right.
for the most part. Yep, there it is. They're having a heavy metal orgy across the street.
Ooh. That's how those little tiny like machines are made.
Yeah. The micro machine.
Yeah.
That's how bobcats are made.
Yeah, there you go.
When a backhoe and a dump truck love each other very, very much.
Aw.
And the backhoe dumps a load in the dump truck. Oh, I just went to a creepy place. I'm
Yes,
sorry.
indeed. 9 months later, the dump truck's like.
And out comes a bobcat. The miracle of birth children.
Nothing makes me happier than watching front loaders or whatever they
Like
got.
backhoe?
Backhoes
Yeah.
like get too much and just fall over.
Yeah. I love watching the crane videos whenever they're trying to like lift
Oh,
something
God.
huge.
Can you imagine the terror being that guy? You're just like,
That
doing
is
my job.
that is actually very terrifying.
there?
because- well, I used to work for. We're not really supposed to say.
Just don't
Big.
say who you work for.
Okay,
You
I
used to
worked for
work
a
for
very
this
large
company.
factory in this area.
Right.
And they had a crane which was something like 100 feet tall, and there were two guys on top when they tried to pick something up. Evidently, the people who had installed it wrong.
Well, like the things
feet,
that hold them
yeah,
down?
like the pegs,
The
like,
anchors, I guess?
anchors, feet, wherever you want to call them, the support beams. They didn't use the correct degree of measurement,
Oh,
and
God.
they brought them in like 10 feet too narrow. And so,
So
they
it's like
pick
the center of gravity was all
oh
off.
yeah, like they're telling them, okay, you
Dude.
could pick up like I think it was like 12,000 pounds, and they're like, oh, awesome, cool. Well, they went up to pick up like this 8,000 pound beam,
They're
and
thinking,
this
like,
thing
rail
just
in the clear.
started just going. And unfortunately, one of the guys was in the cockpit, and the other guy was standing on the outside of the cockpit.
Ooh.
And when
'Cause,
it
it
started
sucks for the guy in the
going,
cockpit, but it really sucks for that other guy.
oh yeah, well, I guess
And it's all slow as hell, so you have time to freak out. You're like, oh no, oh no, no.
luckily enough for the both of them, they were coming up on a rooftop of one of the buildings that was in the area. And so they ended up jumping. Well, the first guy, I guess,
Hell
he got
yeah,
a little
he
too
did.
antsy. And when he jumped, he was still like 30 feet up from
Oh,
it.
Lord, no.
Probably so, because when you're in that kind of fear, 30 feet's nothing to you. Like you're like, I got this. It's better than the alternative.
And the other guy, by the time he got out of the cockpit and he jumped, like from, I didn't get to see him actually jump, because to be honest, I was working and I was just
Right.
kind of walking past when it happened. This facility was a very large facility, so I mean, if you were inside one building looking across, you'd be able to see all the way across. Well,
Holy shit.
the first guy jumps. I saw that. I was like, wow, that sucked.
Right?
Second guy,
That could
I
work.
didn't see him jump, and I'll admit, I was kind of freaking out. I'm like, man, I hope he made it
I would
out.
imagine so. Jesus.
Well, I guess a couple of the guys were watching it. When he jumped, he just barely made it. Like, he was only
Ooh.
he made it with like 5 feet to spare, maybe.
Dude.
Like, he just made it.
It was
And-
that poo that he took when he jumped.
Yeah, more than likely. Yes.
Forced him far enough.
His terror diarrhea flung him through the air.
When it's feeling kind of warm.
And there might be just a storm. I don't know.
Diarrhea.
I wasn't prepared for that one.
No, well, neither was I. I started without
When
thinking.
the crane is coming down and your ass is going to town.
Diarrhea. Diarrhea. I'm so sad we went back to that. I apologize to everyone.
Of all the things we could call back to, that's it. Like, oh god.
Yeah, I know. That's so bad. Well, so we put that Twitter up not too long ago, right? And
Yes.
at 107 off duty, and
The twiter.
the twat. And we actually had somebody that sent me a message a couple of days ago that said that they started a Twitter just to follow our Twitter.
Nice.
So,
well,
that's cool.
if it makes them feel better, we started a Twitter just for them to follow our Twitter.
Exactly. Definitely. So that's nice. So shout out to
we're
you.
there with you.
You know, I think it's kind of strange that we've been doing this 4 months now, 3 months now,
Yeah,
and we've had like 13,000 people listen to this thing.
it's wild.
Yeah.
More people have heard our stupidity than have ever before,
Right. And
by a large margin.
People like it, which I'm
God
sorry.
bless the internet.
Exactly.
True story.
Like I never thought anybody would like it anyway, so
Right.
it is what
It
it
was
is.
always just for us, really.
Yeah. And I got to talking with I don't know how many of you guys out there on Facebook and you EMS people or whatever on these EMS groups on Facebook, like the funny groups and stuff.
Oh yeah,
We even got a shout out from Level Zero, the corporate EMS burnouts
hell yeah.
page. So that was pretty cool.
Corporate
And
burnouts.
Medic Element, which hey, if you guys are on Facebook or out there in internet land, look up Medic Element. They have t-shirts, stickers, PVC patches. They even have like a Meeseeks patch. It's awesome.
Oh yeah.
I love that thing. But you can actually go on Medic Element and use our discount code Medic18 and you get buy one get one free on stickers.
Hell
So,
yeah.
Go out there and
Hell yeah.
go out there and support these guys because they're cool. You go check them out.
They
all
are
right?
pretty cool.
So how long have I don't know how many of you know that weird sound that's going on in the background is me and John vaping.
Oh,
So
are we talking about the weird sound coming out of your chair or the weird sound coming out of our mouths?
I'm so hoping that this. I reached out to a company that has pretty rad chairs, so I'm hoping maybe they'll hook us up if we can plug them. Too.
I keep telling him he needs to make like a compilation of all the squeaks and just send it to him at like triple volume, so they're like, "Oh God, fix this! Here, just take one." Jesus, just keep sending it to him with different titles, so they keep listening to it.
Right. So I don't know how many of you know this sound. But this is me and John vaping
And we encourage our listeners to vape along with us.
Yes.
As if we are.
as a chorus
Yeah.
in union.
Yeah, not gonna lie. When I listened to some of your shows before, I would have sworn you guys are hitting bongs.
Hell yeah! That's how we get funnier.
It's whenever you got the brand new coil.
Yeah.
I love when you got the brand new coil and it does that like crackly, crackly, crackly. When
Yeah.
like mine is like 2 days old, so it's like
Yeah.
little crackle, not much, but when it's brand new, it's like pop, 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 pop.
Well, Clyde, did you used to smoke or anything?
I actually am a current smoker.
Are you?
smokes
Okay.
Yeah,
crack, actually.
that's actually
cocaine.
absolutely true.
Bling Bling keeps his crack pipe in his collar. I saw that on YouTube the other day again, and I forgot how much I love
forgot
that.
about Bling Bling. We used to have that tape.
Yeah,
Remember
we
that?
did. I'm pretty sure that guy got in a lot of trouble for making those bum fight videos.
Yeah, because it's super ethically gray.
Yeah.
Well, it's ethically dark.
It's ethically horrid.
It's ethically dark.
Let's just say we're gonna have to talk about your definition of ethics.
This, I mean,
Or lack thereof.
did you ever look into like what the hell was going on there? Because I remember he tried to spin it like it was like a positive thing for them. So like
Yeah.
this dude basically went around some city, I don't even know, and videotaped bums fighting each other and called it bum fights.
And he
Which-
would give them either money or I think he would even give them like drugs and stuff.
Yeah,
too, didn't he?
yeah. That's
Which-
where I was like, oh.
Yeah, that's where you just went wrong. I mean, give them food, okay. Give them
Yeah.
money, all right. Don't make them fight for it.
Yeah.
Or if they want to fight over it, I guess, whatever. But
That's on them though.
I think I've seen a couple of these guys' video. Like, I'll give you 20,
Yeah.
like I'll give $20 to the winner or something like.
Like,
yes,
it's super
horrible.
greasy. It's
dude.
very greasy. Like we watched it, and we were just like, at first we were like, "Wow, this is really, really fucked up," and then we were like, "I think we have to turn this off." Like,
Yeah, yeah.
But I will never forget Bling Bling. He was the best.
Yeah,
Like, I
that-
think he paid him money to like poop on a restaurant's window in front of people eating
Oh.
one time. You remember that?
Yeah,
Like
I think
he
so.
comes up to and there's these like fine dining like coffee shop restaurant with all these like fancy women in their
And
pants skirts and like
Crackheads have the worst diarrhea, dude.
yeah, and he just like puts his butt up against the front glass, and just like down the freaking God.
Oh.
It's like it's in my memory. It looks worse than my newborn's poop, and that's
Yeah.
saying something.
Well, I'm serious. Like
It
when I was
like
when I was
yellowy
working in
brown
bigger
and
cities,
wet.
when I was working in bigger cities, you always knew where the crackheads were because there'd just be pools of just the nastiest looking diarrhea you've ever seen.
Or udra.
His color.
All right. Are you glad I pulled that one back?
Yes.
So, all right. Well, let me go back to what I was saying before. How long, John? How long have you not smoked? How long has it been since you quit?
All right. So the last time I quit,
Because everyone quits like 20 times.
87 times. The last time I quit is when I finally got a good vape.
Right.
Because I tried to quit. So I tried to quit once, and my plan was incredibly dumb. I switched over to a pipe instead of cigarettes.
Okay.
Because I was like,
What was your
I can't possibly
progression
chain
there?
smoke a pipe. Is
Was
my
it
theory.
was it gonna be like cigarettes to pipe to
Death, I
crack
think.
and
Yeah.
then
Yes. Well, then I was gonna just inject liquid nicotine directly into my eyeballs.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
get-
and that super didn't work, as I'm sure you
Like
guessed.
acid sheets of nicotine,
Yeah, just like
yeah.
drop it in like my contact lens. And then that didn't work. A couple years later, I tried to go cold turkey. That didn't work. And then I guess it's been like a year and a half since I started vaping instead. And I was like, I started vaping at like the highest nicotine I could get, which I think was 12, maybe higher.
I started at 12 too, but then I was
Yeah.
going from smoking and dipping at the same time.
Ooh,
yeah,
yeah.
so that's
That's rough.
You know,
'Cause
riding
dipping
around-
is a bitch because you can dip anywhere. You
yeah,
can't-
riding around
you
in
don't
an
feel
ambulance.
like an asshole for dipping.
You're like, I have a dip in, and then every time we'd stop, I'd get out and light a cigarette up, and it was yeah.
That was my other
So-
logic with the pipe thing. Is like, you feel bad for smoking a cigarette around people who don't smoke.
Yeah.
You really feel like a douche for smoking a pipe in public places. So like I'm just sitting at the restaurant and I go outside and I'm like packing my pipe and people are looking at me like, what a fucking chode. Just like, over here like pop, 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 pop. with my ass caught.
Somebody kicked the Monopoly man's
Yeah.
ass.
If you don't have a monocle, yeah, you need
Yeah, there's a reason the word ass is in ass.
right, yeah, exactly.
So I was like, maybe I just won't smoke much. And
Right.
I didn't. I just leaned into it. I just smoked my pipe everywhere.
Clyde's got to
Driving down the road.
get used to the fact that you just kind of start talking, and then we'll eventually stop.
I've got to ask you, considering you said you used to chew, I used to chew too. One of the things that stopped me from chewing is when I picked up the wrong Gatorade bottle.
Oh God, that's actually why I don't chew.
Yeah,
My dad was a chewer, and he always spit it in soda cans.
yeah,
Oh no!
You know when you're little and you're not supposed to have soda,
yeah.
You just
and
sneak
like,
it.
but you see a soda sitting up on the coffee table, and you're like, El Dorado! I found the Golden City, and you grab that soda, and you're like, I just started chugging it. I was like, somebody's gonna take this away from me soon. Glug 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 glug. And then I realized this is a really warm soda that tastes really bad. Oh God! And I had like 3 good swallows of my dad's saliva filled with freaking tobacco. So
I
I
have-
never chewed much.
I have gross stories about. I have picked up the accident. I've accidentally picked up the wrong one and taken a swig, but I always stop because
At
I'm
least
like,
it was
this is
yours.
wrong,
Yeah.
and right
Oh,
back
yeah.
out. But this, I think, probably the grossest chewing story that I ever had was. So I was dipping, and it was one of the old jobs that I had, and I was driving home, and I was like at a place where I couldn't stop, and I had to
Right.
sneeze really frickin' bad, man.
I imagine that would be problematic.
So I just sneezed really fucking bad, and then all of a sudden, I found a place where I could pull over. So I pulled over, and right before I could get my window down or my door open, I just right over my windshield. Oh my
On
dad!
your hands.
Yeah, it was bad. I had to. Luckily, I had a towel in the back, so I was like wiping it down, and I just left
Tears
the
in
towel.
your eyes.
Yeah, that was pretty gross. No, like I like dipping a lot, but I think what made me quit was when I'd spit a chew out and like the inside of my lip was like sloughing off enough that I could peel
Yep.
pieces of skin off and
Yeah.
just like spit that out. I'm like, all right, well my previous philosophy was if I do get mouth cancer, at least I don't have to open my mouth to spit.
Right,
But
right, there you go.
I think this would probably be problematic in the long run because food will fall out.
Yeah.
And
you can't
did
even
you-
drink things. It's like,
So do you dip now, Clyde?
No, I actually quit. I used dipping to try to quit smoking
oh,
because
so you're like my pipe thing.
Oh
kind of
yeah,
situation.
yeah,
You have the same
yeah.
logic.
Yeah, And I always thought, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to dip nearly as much because I don't like the taste of dip. Well, unfortunately, I discovered Red Man,
Oh, bro.
and I love raisins.
I've tried Red
so,
Copenhagen long cut wintergreen was mine, man.
and I discovered Red Man, and I was like, this is actually really good. So I was chewing.
That's called chaw.
I was chewing, and then I was smoking. Then I
While
was
chewing.
chewing at work, smoking at home.
Right.
It got to the point where there was actually a couple of times where I would forget I had dip in my mouth, and I would light a cigarette.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow,
That's
this
a
is
head buzz.
this is a
I
little
never forgot
redundant.
that. I knew I had both. I was like, I need the nicotine so that way I don't become a hateful asshole right
I was like,
now.
at this point, you might as well just like, I got a dip in each cheek. I got a cigarette in my hand. I got a cigar in this hand. And nicotine patches on my neck.
Yeah, totally.
I mean,
So-
I feel like at some point you probably could overdose on nicotine.
Probably. I'm sure that there is.
You'd have to be
Actually,
trying though.
You know what made me quit everything. You know, still to this day, every once in a while, it's like if somebody's having a cigarette, like peer pressure,
Right.
whatever.
You're still pumping and chewing every now and again, right?
Very few and far between. It's usually weekends
Like,
after.
how long does it
after
last
the
you?
vape? After the vape store closes and I forgot that I'm out of
Right.
juice. Yeah, that's when it's like.
So it's your plan B. Basically.
yeah, basically.
Your morning after.
But honestly, I did the math on it, and if you're paying, what, $6 a pack
Dude, right?
for smokes, $7. How much are they now?
Mine are not very popular, so I'm usually paying about $6.50. Oh, this is just
You
a
roll your
case.
own?
No. Working at a foundry, you can
Marlboros.
sweat through your pack of cigarettes, even with the plastic
Oh,
on it.
that makes
and
perfect
it
sense,
makes them stale. It makes
a
them
lot of construction
disgusting.
guys do the same
And so
thing.
I get
Right.
one of those roll your own cases. Just drop my
yeah.
pack in there, and I'm good to go.
See, that's my thing. Is like I did the math. You're paying $7 a pack for smokes, and you buy, let's say it's a pack a day.
Right.
That's $42 in a week.
Yeah.
So,
And like pack a day is pretty average. Like pack a day sounds like bad, but from my experience, more smokers are pack a day than not.
Right, exactly.
know.
I say I think the worst I've ever been was a pack and a half a day, and I was buying.
You're going through
Pall
more than
Mall.
one pack a day. You've probably done for, right? Like,
Right.
yeah.
Well, at the time,
That's
it
when you
was
just
even
walk
worse.
around going.
At the time, it was even worse because I was working 2 jobs. So I was working 10, 12 hours a day. And so it was between jobs, and it was when I was at home. And so, I mean, in 6 hours of free time, I was smoking a pack and a half. I'm like, yeah, no. Something's going on here.
But-
you know you're in trouble when you forget you have a lit cigarette that you've just sat down and you light up another one.
That's called drinking too much.
Yeah, it usually is. That was always my big kickback. Honestly, I think, to be honest, the only reason I successfully quit smoking is because I also got scared into quitting drinking.
Gotcha.
And by quitting drinking, and I'm not like in AA and I don't touch the stuff, but I just don't get drunk anymore.
Right.
I never drink more than one. Like, I never plan to have more than one drink.
Gotcha.
Basically, like
Yeah.
if you're sitting around and we're having like 2 drinks over the course of an entire night, that's different. But like if I go to a restaurant with you and you're ordering a drink, I'll order one, but then I'm done.
Right.
Like, and I'll get something that's really good, and I'll just like
Right. Yeah.
I'll get like a White Russian or like a Bloody Mary or.
You know what just
something
occurred
sick.
to me? We have people that are listening all over the United States and the world. And have you ever traveled outside of our area and like just looked at the prices of
Oh, you
cigarettes?
mean like other states?
States
Yeah.
or even just bigger cities?
I know
Because
guys
I saw
live on
a
the border
picture.
that travel across to get their smokes and stuff.
I
'cause
saw a
it's
picture from
crazy cheap.
Chicago of I think it was on one of the EMS sites or something like that. This dude bought a pack of smokes on a transfer or something like that in Chicago, and it was $17 for a pack of cigarettes.
Sounds like Newport.
Something, man, that's crazy. If that doesn't tell you something and go, you know what, I could spend this money on other shit. You literally spend half as much if you just went to vaping. And this is what made me quit. Honestly, was at the time I was testing for fire department in Newport News in Hampton, Virginia, and I was traveling out there for their test. Well, they have a strict no nicotine policy.
Ooh.
So if you're on the fire department, you can have no nicotine, and they actually make a nicotine test. So
shit.
yeah. So that
Damn.
like at the same time you were doing a physical, they could test you for drugs, alcohol, and nicotine. And if you were found to have nicotine, you'd be put on suspension. So I was like, all right, well, I better stop now while I'm testing, so that way I don't have an issue, later on. Yeah, so that was my main thing. But I will admit, did you get that 2 days or a week long bit of just being the biggest asshole in the world?
Oh, absolutely. Well, I was just like on the edge at all times. Like anything happened, I was like, "Fuck!" I was instantly like I was at 0, but I was just like there was no 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7, or 8, or 9.
Anything frustrating was just
yeah. So I was just looking this up because I wanted to get it right. In Australia, cigarettes are $40 a pack,
dude,
and people still buy them.
Wow, that's
Isn't
crazy.
that wild?
That's nuts.
And there's a law that there has to be like a horrifying picture on the front of them. Like you can't like you buy a pack of Marlboros. There's a fucking card that's like inserted into the
of
sleeve.
like a cancerous lung.
Yeah,
or
or like a neck that's like all. It's like basically
the-
it's like
with
those
the
horrifying
stoma?
commercials.
Yeah.
Right there on your pack. So like they're really trying to cut down on the cigarettes in that country. Like Australia's weird though, man.
That's nuts.
They're so laid back in some ways, but they're super like ultra frighteningly conservative in other ways.
Wow, that's crazy, man.
Yeah, they're a weird
$40
country.
a pack, man. I think at that point I'd just be like, no.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what the fuck, right?
I wonder if they're do they even vape in Australia?
They must.
Do you even vape, bro?
Do they even vape, bro? I feel like Australia would be a big on the vaping because,
$40, yeah.
I mean, and that's the thing about vaping too. Like, at first you're like, "Damn, this is expensive," because that's my advice. Like, I've had a few people come up to me and like when I was, we were at the hospital and we were like waiting for Amberlyn to get her like, "You can get out of here, okay? Like, we can take her home."
Yeah.
I would like step out like 2 or 3 times a day and go sit on the benches out there with the smokers. Mm-hmm. And a couple of them were like, "Dude, I noticed you're like vaping. Is that how you quit smoking?" I'm like, yeah. Like they're like, "I've been thinking about it." I'm like, here's the thing. Like, learn from my mistakes. Do not go to the gas station and buy those vapes.
Yeah, get a good one.
Because the vape guy at the Blow No Smoke Theater guy, Doc or something, I think his name is, or Pops, he was telling me that a lot of those are actually made by like Philip Morris and those companies, and they specifically make them to suck. Like they make them really poorly, and they make them
So you
like
keep smoking.
not giving you like a full, like you don't get a good hit all the time. They're like inconsistent. So like they literally make them to sabotage you. So you're like, "This sucks. I'm going back to cigarettes."
Right.
Because that's what they want.
It's been proven that when you quit smoking and you go back, you actually basically come back with a vengeance.
Yeah, you do,
You,
too.
you
I
smoke
found that.
even more. So
I super found that. I was like, because when I originally quit the first time when I went cold turkey, I did taper off. I was like, I was down to like a pack would last me a week at one point. Like I was smoking 1 in the morning, 1 at night, maybe 1 throughout the day.
Right.
Probably not even. Or even at some points I would smoke like half a cigarette, put it out, blow it out so it didn't taste nasty, and then like finish it off right before bed.
That's gross, though.
Yeah,
Man,
it is.
it's
It
really
is.
gross.
It is. But that's the point. I wanted it to be gross, so I wouldn't like it. And then when I came back, I was like, boom, pack a day right away.
I've seen heard a lot of people say that vaping is douchey or whatnot, but
There is a group of vapors who are that.
that never smoked before or don't have any nicotine
those
in
guys
their
that
vapes.
just like all they care about is how big is their vape cloud.
Yeah.
And those guys that look down on you for like what you're vaping, like, "Oh, what are you vaping?" Oh.
I
Like,
will be honest. There are days when I'm in here like editing this podcast or doing other stuff in the office, and all of a sudden I look up and there's just a haze. I'm like, oh, that's weird. That's nice.
You
But
like catch the light just right, and you're like, "Ooh."
yeah, right. But this is what you will not get from smokers, or I guess technically places where you buy cigarettes. In the town that I'm working in, this is another story altogether. But in the town that I'm working in now, there's a place called the Getaway Vape Shop, and they sell vaping equipment, but mostly they have just flavors and stuff, and they sell other items.
So they're
for
more
vaping.
about the juice, less about the actual kit.
But
those are the good ones. Those guys are usually cool about stuff.
Well, and he was a cool dude because there was one week where I'd paid all my bills and stuff, and I'm like strapped for cash and whatnot.
Oh, right.
He gave me a 100 ml bottle for $5, because
It's pretty
he's like,
sweet.
literally, he's like, I get testers from different companies, and I
Right.
ask them to send me like 2 or 3 to try them, and I put them in a box in the back. So if somebody's riding the struggle bus, like I'll just give it to them for
Riding the
$5,
struggle bus.
$10, whatever. And I was like, that's awesome,
That's
and that's
funny.
yeah, that's something that you'll never get from any of those other places.
Hell yeah.
So
Well, those small town guys are cool usually because they know that their business relies on loyal people.
yeah,
Like, if you're a small business, the only way to succeed is to get a loyal, like, base of people that come in. That, like, they don't come to you for the better deals. They come to you because you're cool.
yeah.
So
And
be as cool as possible, and you'll get that.
the other thing too is my clothes don't smell like smoke all the time. My truck doesn't smell like
Dude,
smoke all the time.
you ever have
know
like
what
a
I mean?
smoker walk by you after going out for their smoke break, and you're like, "Oh my god!"
Did you just
like,
rub that all over yourself?
I forgot how I used to smell. Like, I
Yeah.
was like, "That's nice." Well, my big thing is too. Like, my wife has never smoked a cigarette in her life. So, like, I always felt
she's
like a
tiny
dick.
enough if she took the littlest bit of
She
nicotine.
needs those Virginia Slims
Yeah.
with a freaking long thing like Cruella. Like, but yeah, like, so I felt extra bad because I was like, I know you're smelling this like really strongly, and like, I'm like, what if like 40 years down the line I'm fine and she's got secondhand smoke cancer? I'm gonna feel horrible. I was like, because there's no doubt in my mind that I did that. So I was like, I can't do that. I can't keep doing that. That's fucked up.
Oh, so I'm gonna switch gears here real quick. I was thinking back. We were talking about the crack shits.
Yeah.
I have a poo story.
Oh, good.
I have a poo story.
There has to be at least one per episode.
Oh, so here's my biggest pet. I don't mind. Sick patients are fine. If you're legitimately sick, if you're you could have diarrhea,
Well, it's not their
vomiting,
fault,
whatever.
right? Yeah.
If you're sick, you're sick. That's fine.
Absolutely.
I just don't like gross patients.
Like people who are gross in general.
No.
You mean?
Gross patients. Just let's make it a general statement, but I'm going to give you a for instance. This
Okay.
happened to me.
Okay.
So I took this lady to the hospital. She had a GI blockage, and
Uh-huh.
it had actually relieved itself when we got her to the hospital. Like, apparently she had 2 of the most giant bowl-filling shits that the doctor had ever seen.
2 of them?
2.
Where does one stop becoming the first one and become the second one, or is it? I
Like-
don't know. That's a weird semantic. Let's not get into that.
I only imagine it. I only imagine it as there were 2 blockages. So the first one let loose, and then the second one kind of like a
Was like-
cannonball lodged.
Loaded into the
Yeah,
chamber.
So I'm thinking that's possibly what it was. That wasn't the gross part because she was legitimately
Well,
sick.
it is, but not. To
I
you.
had to take her I had to transfer her from one hospital to another for some other reason that she was
Yeah.
having. This is where the gross part
Wait,
comes
this
in.
wasn't even the problem.
No.
She was like, "Oh yeah, and by the way, also my
Well,
butthole's gonna
that-
explode soon."
Yeah. Well, no, that was the original problem, but apparently they found something that meant I had to take her again. Anyway,
Yay!
so we're on the way to the other hospital, and I'm doing my vital signs, all that stuff. I'm working on my chart, and I look up just in time to see her. Let me also preface this by saying it kind of annoys me when people won't lay on their back on the cot because then the straps don't really
they
do
want to
anything.
lay on their side
yeah,
or what?
Yeah. I'm like, for safety reasons, can
I mean,
you lay
I'm
on
sure
your back?
there are
No.
situations where being on their side is like maybe better for
Yes,
them.
definitely.
But this
Pregnant
isn't one of
people and
those, obviously.
exactly. But I'm like, okay, whatever.
Or if somebody's gonna throw up, do you put them on their side so they don't like?
Well, if they're on a
They
backboard,
just
yeah.
go like bleh.
Yeah, normally they just do that.
Right
Or I
on.
just sit them up.
Burp
But
'em.
this is where the gross part comes in. I'm working on my chart. I look up just in time to
Wait,
see
can
her.
I stop you there and just say that you've been talking about her poop for like 10 minutes, and now this is where the gross part comes in?
You have
That's
no
beautiful.
idea what my job is, man.
That's beautiful. Let's do
no
this.
idea.
Let's put on our water waders.
Yeah, let's wade through this together. Everybody grab your partner.
I used to say the same thing whenever I talk to somebody about corrections. They'd be like, "Well, it's not that bad." You have no idea.
You have no idea.
bro.
So
I'm looking forward to some of these stories, by the way.
she uncovers one hand, puts it up to her nose, sniffs it, and then takes the blanket and proceeds to dig the most amount of human feces I have ever seen come out from one person's fingernails ever. And at that point, I'm just like,
What?
I'm
with
done
her
with you.
teeth or what? Like,
With the blanket, like she's taken the
Oh.
blanket, and so the entire corner of the blanket is brown, and she doesn't do. She sniffs again, and then she covers herself up with the same blanket. I'm like, you got poo on you now. That is disgusting. You are a nasty person. You nasty.
you nasty. Like, the whole part of that, I was just. It looked like I was smiling, but it was actually more of a grimace.
You know that is what you heard coming out of John was his physical recoil.
Yeah.
Just,
yeah.
Yeah, that is.
That was my body wishing that it had a turtle shell to go into.
And you know, here's the thing. Here's the thing is I have seen much worse than that, but it's been long enough that my mind has just gotten
Filtered it.
rid of that memory.
Yeah.
This is just fresh
Blacked
enough.
it
It's a
out.
fresh wound is what it is, really.
Yeah.
So, there you go. There you go, kids.
man.
Gross people suck. Gross
Gross.
people suck.
Gross people. But let's be fair. Everybody's gross. A little, at least.
Some people are just
Some people are just better at
overly
hiding it.
gross.
But yeah, it's like there are two types of people, I guess. They're like the people that hide their gross and the people that just wear their gross like it's their grandma's sweater. Like, they just don't care.
What's the grossest thing you've seen in corrections, dude?
Oh, God. What's the grossest thing you've seen in corrections that you're allowed to tell us?
Hey, he's not under HIPAA, man, so he can say whatever. Yeah,
As long as you don't name any names, you're good.
yeah, exactly.
I can tell you the grossest thing I circumvented, because that one comes to mind real quick.
I thought you were going to say circumcised. So
Yeah,
No,
I
no,
did
no.
too. I was real worried about where that was going.
No, I actually, for a while there, I had a list of the 10 things I never thought I'd have to say to another grown adult.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
And most of them were from corrections. And I always told myself that number one on that list, if I ever had to say anything any worse than that, I would leave corrections that day. I would
Right.
walk out.
Can I get? Do you still have it?
Yo, yeah.
I want to rename it for you. So
Okay.
instead of a bucket list, you should call it a fuck it list.
Yeah, totally.
Well,
This is my
number
bucket list.
number one on the list was when I had an order an inmate not to shit in the showers.
Oh,
Yeah.
like I shouldn't have to tell you this.
Yeah, I should not have to tell a grown adult not to take a dump in the showers.
But I
Especially,
wanna.
like, and they were mad because I guess they didn't buy toilet paper on commissary. They decided to buy like
So they were like trying to get their own bidet situation happening.
pretty much like I guess
Man,
they ran out of the toilet paper that the state issues, and because there is literally state issue toilet
they
paper.
probably do not
like,
give you enough though, right? Like I'm sure it's like enough
it's
for
alternate.
barely.
It's alternate weeks where like 1 week you get one roll.
So it depends on the budget,
and
probably.
The next week you get 2 rolls, and then
Ugh.
it just keeps going back and forth.
Is this like a federal prison?
It's a state prison that I was working at.
So yeah, they're like
yeah.
all
And
funded
let's
by.
let's.
by, like,
I want to
dice.
preface this by saying that you worked at a female
Yes,
prison.
And
That
by the
makes
way,
it
also
even
adding a little
more.
by the way, you would think just because females on the outside are generally more hygienic, you'd think that females on the inside would be like, okay, they're generally cleaner.
Bro, if you've ever had a job where you clean the women's restroom in a business or a public place, I know exactly what you mean.
It's
And they're not. They're the women's restroom is always nasty.
you'd
weren't
think
you?
that women would just be naturally cleaner while locked up, and
God,
it's
no.
it's just really not true. The dorms, the way they're set up, I can't tell you how many times I would have to yell at people for really the dumbest things. Like,
Jesus.
like,
I
they
want to
would-
see this list,
I do too.
and I hope you've crossed
I
them
had
off and
to.
stuff.
No. I mean, these are things that I've actually had to say, and I didn't believe that I would ever have to say
God.
it. Another one on there was when I had an order an inmate to give another inmate back her cane.
At least it wasn't a leg.
Right?
It may
Give
as-
that inmate back her leg.
She's like
It
Rocket
may as
Raccoon.
well have
I'm
been
getting
'cause-
that eye.
It may as well have been because this little old lady she was a card shark. I would watch her play cards against other people, and I'm like,
And like get their commissary and stuff.
and I would just listen to him, and I'm like, no, technically we couldn't. They
I was like,
couldn't
that's
play
super
for the-
frowned upon, right?
Now, yeah, that is. Now,
Technically,
if
they couldn't,
If they made,
but they did. I'm sure.
yeah,
Oh,
if they
sure.
made deals, as long as it wasn't on the table, most officers didn't really care because I mean that would lead to a whole investigation where like
Right.
you'd have to prove that they did it just to write
have
the
to
incident
kind of,
report and the tickets.
Figure
like,
out where your priorities are. You're like, okay,
Yeah.
is this hurting anybody? No. Is it? gonna be a big problem later. No.
Is somebody gonna get shanked?
Fucking
No.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, if they had their food on the table, like, well, you know,
I'm sure those
I
ladies are meaner
wager
than you'd
one-
think too, aren't they?
I've got a couple fight stories. I'll tell you in a little while. But,
I got 2 soups.
but I don't know. This young girl, like, she was maybe 23, maybe.
Right.
She loses, and everybody, all of her friends were all telling her, like, do not play cards against her. She will take everything.
Right. She's really
And-
good. What were they playing? Poker? Rummy? Go fish?
They play all kinds of games up there. I don't know exactly what they were playing.
I guess
Mad
you
Money.
wouldn't just
Monopoly.
play one game.
No,
Yeah.
they play a 5-card stud. They play blackjack, Texas Hold'em. They'll play Pinochle. That's the one I
Just
want. That's
basically for
popular.
anything to do.
Yeah, basically.
Well, in Pinochle, it takes forever, so it's probably really good for them.
I'd heard rumors that they used to have chessboards, and while I was there, I would find
Somebody got stabbed by a
chessboards.
knight.
Worse, they were putting them places.
Oh, I
Yeah.
didn't even think of that.
The pieces. Yeah, there was
course. King me,
something
baby.
called
Why does this smell like fish? Continue.
there was something they called a Slim Jim. Yeah, no, and
Yeah,
I thought
not
when I
for
think of
getting in
Slim
cars.
Jim, either the meat stick or to get a new car.
Why do I
Well,
feel
to
like
it.
this is going to continue to a
It's-
meat stick story of some kind?
Well, it wasn't made of meat. But there's a reason why we weren't allowed to give inmates rubber gloves.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
The fingers they would fill up with different things, and
Jiminy
yeah.
Christmas.
Oh no.
It's pretty gross. Like, and
Man.
I can't tell you how many times I've found stuff like this. I've seen it.
Oh.
I've walked in and smelled
It's so
it.
much worse when it's
Oh.
homemade, I imagine.
Oh.
It's one thing if you're like, Grandma, I'll go get your stuff. Hold on, where is it? In your top drawer? Oh God. Like, honey, why is your purse vibrating?
Do you, John? All right, not to switch. Okay, to switch topics, I guess a little bit.
Get away from that one.
It's getting away from it, but it's still disturbing in certain ways. Do you remember when we were in college and we got paid to clean out that spare bedroom?
Yeah, dude.
So me and
That
John,
was the best.
a long time ago,
worst.
worst. Some lady hired us to help clean out a spare bedroom because her
It
roommate
was so
had
weird.
skipped
She was
town.
just like, "Hey, do you want to make $50?"
Yeah, and we were broke college students, and you know
We're-
whatnot.
We jumped at it. We were
Yeah.
like, "Oh hell yes, we do." And
So-
what got me was she was like $50, and anything you find if you want it, it's yours.
Yeah,
Because she was like, "I'm just throwing it all away, so like anything you want is yours." Like we did find some kind of cool stuff, I remember,
yeah.
and some pretty disturbing stuff.
So, like,
I found
Normal.
teeth. I found a set of teeth.
it gets even worse, man. I'd rather have found teeth.
Mm-hmm.
So it started out just like taking all the bedroom furniture,
Yeah,
and
yeah, pretty
just
easy.
regular stuff out, whatnot. Get to the closet, open it up. We start hauling out the clothes and
The
whatnot.
closet of terror.
And then all of a sudden, we're like, look down, and there's 2 big plastic garbage bags.
Yeah.
And you know,
we
you
thought
could,
they were clothes
you,
or something.
You could tell that there was something, and we picked them up, and I'm like, man, this has got some weight to it.
And they
we ripped it
crinkled.
open,
Oh,
and it
God.
was full, just
Like
of the nastiest, most
VHS tapes.
disturbing gay porn.
Oh no!
Just so much.
Oh, that's so gross.
Oh, so much.
And toys was the worst
Yeah.
part. One bag was half full of toys with just hundreds of VHS tapes
And to
on
be
top
clear,
of it.
this was like what, 2003?
Yes.
The internet existed. Why does anyone need that many
DVDs
VHS
existed.
tapes of porn
Yeah.
of any type? Like, why? You can find it. It's online. It's called Anything Online.
I mean, you Google the wrong thing with safe search off, and
You
you're going to
can
find.
accidentally find porn online. Yeah, like
Well, the worst part is we took all those bags of porn and toys and dumped them into our school's dumpster. And a few of the toys turned on and were just like racing around the bottom of this empty dumpster. It was so good.
oh, and we kept a couple of the really funny titled ones.
Yeah.
Like we kept what was it? It was like, I don't think this is it, but it was like men in black or something.
I think so.
It was like black men in black or something messed up like that.
Yeah, that was oh my
Oh,
god.
and we had this old crappy DVD/VCR player.
Okay, I remember those.
We'd invite a bunch of people over, like a bunch of these like super conservative Christian kids over from the Christian college,
And then accidentally forget
and
it was
like,
in there.
oh yeah, and what we would do is we'd put it in, we'd hide the TV remote, we'd put it in, and then I would literally rip off the front deck of the player so they
Yeah.
could not stop it, and then we would just leave the room.
Yeah.
We actually made a kid vomit once.
Yeah. In hindsight, it probably wasn't the nicest thing to do to anybody.
Oh,
but,
it was so mean.
Yeah.
We probably ruined his.
well, and the
religion
worst
for
part
him.
was it was they'd come over to our house.
I always had this
Our
secret hope
apartment.
that we would like make a kid find out. Like he was like, "I'm into this." Like, you're welcome.
It was the kid that threw up.
Yeah, probably.
That was his turning point. It was okay.
It was throw of excitement, not of horror.
I don't think I've ever had a happy vomit. I think I'd like to have one. That sounds like fun. I've never
vomit of
been
joy.
that excited.
You know, I was just thinking about this. You were talking about them pooping in the showers. Have you ever seen a shower drain that would allow poop to go down?
No, it's called a waffle stomp.
Oh, there's a name for it.
So you
Oh.
stomp it down the drain.
I can't convey my face right now. It's called a waffle stomp. He says very calmly.
Yeah, I learned about that one in the.
Why the fuck are we doing this damn
Oh
show?
God, let's just go waffle stomping, guys.
What made
I'm
me
wearing my shoes for this waffle stomp, though. I don't know about you.
John, why did we start this stupid thing?
I don't know.
I'm so
Only thing that
sad.
makes me feel a little better is that I'm hoping that they were wearing flip flops. Like,
They're supposed to, but most of them didn't.
God.
Oh, Jesus.
I mean, Jesus, really, like really, a waffle stomp. So
Yeah.
you just pound it in.
Yeah, just
That has
shove
got
it
to
right
do
in
a
there.
number on the pipes.
Yeah.
Oh,
I feel bad for whoever gets contracted to clean up those pipes.
God.
Like that dude probably he must charge them a lot of money because there's no other way he would do it.
You broke my brain.
right? Yep.
I can't even think of anything else to say at this
Stop.
point.
How do you add to waffle stuff? Jiminy Christmas Christ!
I'm gonna switch this up
Please, for the love of
as
God,
far as I can fucking get.
so how
away
much
from
do you
this
like
right now.
puppies?
I love puppies. I have 4. I'm gonna go cuddle them right now.
Right?
Just lay on the floor and let
Just
them
lick the shame off my face, please, doggies.
You're gonna wake up tonight from a deep sweat
Waffle
nightmare.
stomp.
Like, waffle stomp.
Hoobastank.
Hoobastank. Hemoglobin.
Hemoglobin. Hemoglobin, blubin, blobin.
So it's been probably 2 months now since I got my new job down where I was working. At this new service. I was
Aw, let the
enjoying
tears
it.
begin
It was
flowing.
great. It was wonderful. I loved it.
I mean, you were haunted.
The call, well, that's fine, man.
Yeah, if
as long
anything,
as-
it just gave you more to talk about on the show.
Exactly. And so, the call volume wasn't super hard, and we actually had good quarters and
Yeah.
separate bedrooms. Every bedroom had their own air conditioning unit, so that way you didn't
Wow.
have to worry about being too hot, too cold, or whatever.
That's much nicer than I expected from a small.
They had super nice equipment. Everything was perfect. Well, I found out yesterday that as of October 1st, they are closing the doors for good.
That sucks.
Yeah, and it's with absolutely no warning.
And
the 2
obviously they
weeks-
didn't know because they wouldn't have hired somebody
right.
a
Well,
month ago.
the guy that was the ops manager, he's a pre-hospital RN, so he basically took a job doing nursing and in downstate Illinois, and so his mom and dad are just like, nope, we've got the funeral home, and we're just going to shut the doors on the ambulance service. So. Yep, 2
Wow.
weeks. If anybody out
Wow.
there knows of any places for fire EMS that are hiring salty people, just get
Salty.
a hold of me.
I think they only hire salty people. Let's be fair.
No, they're
They like them well seasoned.
the people that still have the sheen on their EMS license, those are not salty yet. Give it a
right.
couple of years, and you'll get there. So yeah, that's my story for the sad.
How hard would it become,
sad
or
show.
would it be for you to become a nurse?
They actually do have a paramedic to RN bridge program where it's basically a year.
I was gonna say it's kind of like getting your associates and then your bachelor's or something, right? Like you already have some of the stuff you need.
Yeah.
You just add to it.
Yep.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, not bad.
I mean, because RNs make a ton of money,
Yeah,
like a real ton of money. Like my sister does nursing, and she kills it.
Yeah.
I mean, and her work schedule is no worse than yours.
Yeah.
I mean, and she makes probably money that would make you just cry in your sleep.
Oh,
like,
totally.
You know, like.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is I did all that overtime, like, to pay off bills and stuff, and now I'm like, well, I guess I'm going to hold on to this for a little bit until I can figure out where I'm going now.
Luckily, you had a chance to lay out a tiny goose egg there,
Yeah, exactly.
or a nest egg.
Well, this has been the 17th episode of 10-7 Off Duty, and I'm sorry for what you had to listen to.
Yeah.
Pretty
We
disgusting.
We should write out apologies to everyone. Your apology is in the mail.
Clyde, I'm glad that you're here and that you're interested in doing this with us too. But
Yeah.
oh,
I will never
God.
bring up Waffle Stomp again.
Oh
Waffle
God, you did it!
No, I'm not even joking. Like, we need to get T-shirts that say Waffle Stomp on.
Speaking of T-shirts, we have some cool stuff coming up. The T-shirts are ordered. If you go on our Facebook or our
Finally,
Twitter,
we're doing it.
Yes.
Sorry, everyone.
yeah, the T-shirts are ordered. So go on our Facebook or Twitter, 10-7 Off Duty. Get a hold of us at either one of those places. Or
Is there like a link for them? Is that what that is?
no? Once they get here, just email us or whatever. Tell us what
Okay.
size you want, and then I'll send it out to you.
Eventually, we may be able to figure out some sort of like quick and easy link thing where they
Yeah.
can just order it and it goes to their house.
Mm-hmm.
That might be nicer for people. But for now, just be happy we actually have T-shirts.
Yeah, exactly. So those are on their way. If you have any. I gotta pause for a second because I totally fucked that one up.
You did. Eh?
Good. I'm still thinking of Waffle Stomp. It's, it's hurting my brain right
Waffle
now.
Stomp has ruined you.
It's not good. So, if you have any questions for us, get a hold of us at 107offduty@gmail.com. You can also order the T-shirts there. Just send us an email, whatever you want to do. Please rate and comment on iTunes or Stitcher or pretty much anywhere else you can get this. If you want to give us $1 or $5 or whatever and get some bonus content, we do have a couple of videos that are coming soon. One is going to be free. One's probably going to be on the Patreon. Go to patreon.com/offduty. You can also get us on Podbean at offduty.podbean.com.
Right on. Can the non-patrons listen to the regular stuff on Patreon?
Yes, they can. Yes,
That's
they can.
handy.
They can listen to everything
So
that
if
we
you're
do.
thinking about it, listen to a couple of those, see what you think. It'll be more stupid. That's basically that's your clue as to what you're getting.
Yes.
You're just getting more of the silly.
I mean, this one was pretty...
Yeah. Honestly, if you like our stupid episodes, you'll love our Patreon exclusives.
Right, exactly. Yeah. We also have something pretty cool coming out. We are going to have the podcaster from People Are Wild is going to be a guest on here.
Hell
So
yeah.
Stay tuned for that. And go check her podcast out, People Are Wild. She is a nurse, a travel nurse. So she goes around to different hospitals and stuff.
Oh,
and
man.
She's got some pretty cool stories. And I can't wait to talk to her about all that stuff. So continue listening to
We'll
us.
see what she thinks about waffle stomping.
Yeah, exactly. I'm okay with that. I'll ask her.
I mean, if she's a nurse, it's not going to phase her.
Right,
She's going to be like,
exactly.
oh, yeah, that's what they call that?
Well, guys, until next time.
We call it shittle skipping. Skittle bumping.
Bye.